Hello and good morning, everyone. This is Arden McLaughlin with Arden's Chats. I am so excited to be here. I love that you guys keep tuning in, even though my roots keep growing deeper and deeper. I love that you love me enough to, but this is day 4,000 in COVID, and we're all like, wow, you're still there, roots and all. So I created this, not for looks and goods, but to show off my amazing network. And just to really give you guys an insight into all the people you can and should be working with during COVID and coming out of COVID as well. Because with what we build in traumatic situations always propels us forward when we're coming out. So this is my friend, Sandra. Sandra, would you tell the people who you are?
So Sandra Weber, Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a clinical body worker, so massage therapist by licensure, and then took a deep dive over 10 years ago into anatomy, studying the brain, figuring out how the mind and body work together, because I learned very quickly that people coming to me in pain were really expressing physically, usually things that were going on mentally and emotionally. So I'm sure we'll dive into my process through the whole situation. But so my 9 to 5 is usually hands-on body work, coaching people how to get that combination back together and live a more productive, truly healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, I love that. How did you get into that to begin with? I always love to know people's stories leading into this.
Sure. So I was an athlete starting in 10th grade. I started playing volleyball, but I was very sick before that. I had asthma really bad. I was the kid that didn't run in PE very much. My family were more of the strict Western medicine, just medicine and nothing else. Combined with now I know I had a very emotionally abusive father, so that correlates to asthma because I'm folding, I'm not speaking, I'm my truth. I'm shutting down my face so I don't get in trouble with, so that whole thing played into my asthma, I believe now. But coming through a sickness like that, like a lot of people do, I did start getting stronger and better, and you desire to help other people. So when I was young, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, and I kind of followed that momentum for a little bit. But then after I started getting older, started studying more holistic medicine, having my own 2 children, and going down that journey. For me, I didn't want to be participatory in the medical side of it and prescription side of it. I wanted to be on the holistic preventative side of it. So being an athlete, getting stronger, I played volleyball through high school and college. Long story short, my husband and I moved here in 2008. So we've been
time to move to Charlotte.
Yeah. And funny story, I was actually a realtor at the time.
Oh, good.
So we've actually been through, not this virus, obviously, but we've been through hard times, and it was very hard because both of us were self-employed. So I have a very different feel for a situation like this because we've been through it, and it was very hard on us financially as a family. We had 2 little ones. But that circumstance is what pushed me to look for what I thought of and as plan B. So obviously real estate shut down. And so I started thinking, what am I going to do once this is over? I still want to be in control of my time. I want to be able to have something that facilitates me having control over it, being able to be with my kids. So, and this is something I also teach people, and I just commented the other day on someone's I'm losing my identity post.
Yes. Yeah.
I went back to my original heart's desire when I was young, and I thought, okay, I always wanted to help people. My degree is in secondary education. I coached volleyball for years. And so I just thought, how can I participate in people's lifestyle to help them get healthy like I did, or that I fight for still every day?
Yeah.
So that started happening in my head by that turn of events. And then, as I believe God would have it, we were actually at a cookout one day, and a friend of mine was laying on the floor out. His back was out. And I was the stronger and bigger sister. So when my dad's back was out, when I was young, I would walk on his back or smash on his back when he was hurt. He built tires for a living for General Tire and Rubber here in Charlotte. They closed down now.
Yeah.
But so I started working on his back a little bit, just intuitively, what I thought might help. And about 10, 15 minutes later, he got up and he was like, Sandra, I get a massage once a month, and that was as good or better than her. I was like, let me think about that. So I looked into school, and we started class in 2 weeks, and that's just how people watching don't know me. This is how I roll. If I get good information and I have a ping in my heart to do something and I believe it's right, discussed it with the hubs and, make sure all those things were good.
Yeah.
And I hit the ground running. That was over 10 years ago. And this is my calling. And I would never have found it if we didn't go through that crisis of 2008.
I think that, I love hearing that particular story, because so many people right now what are we in, week 4 of this? And I think oh my God, is it ever going to end? And what am I going to do with it? And all the kind of things are coming true. But you stuck with it. That's been the theme of this week, I think, is you stuck with it, partly because you had to, and partly because you had a calling on your heart for it. So that's one thing. What does for you, because I think this is a great question for our audience, is what does a calling for you feel like? What did it feel like?
What it felt like for me is kind of the same feeling if you marry the right person.
Mm-hmm.
and no matter what, I've got so many stories in my head over the years from friends and family and clients and all of them, but it's the worst thing can happen, but it doesn't matter because you're still going to go through with this. When I was in school for massage, so when you start learning the body and you learn the organs of the body, you learn the parts of the spine, they all correlate to an emotion. My back went out during massage school, and because I'm so hard-headed, I wasn't ill, but I was in so much pain I couldn't sit. So I went to school and laid on the floor. And it was my sacrum, and that's foundation, that's finances, So for me, it was that same faith that I had as a child, that I recognized in my family how my father behaved wasn't right, but I couldn't change it. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't convince him. I couldn't say anything that would make him different. But I knew in my heart that wasn't how families were supposed to operate. So I knew if I stuck it out and I learned lessons of how to watch people and learn behaviors, that I could make better choices down the road and have a family that I wanted. And it's the same with a calling, is no matter what is going on, I'm still going to be always doing the things I need to do. I'm going to be educating myself. I'm going to be, being a proper business person. I'm going to manage myself well. Right now, I have a collective of over 100 practitioners from California to the Carolinas. We all have some similar certifications. And I'm seriously, if I'm not doing something with the kids or around the house, I'm taking a Zoom class with them. I'm talking with them. I'm honing in my my skills to do interactions through Zoom with clients. So you're constantly learning and doing and growing and adapting, but it's just always there. So it's just like with a spouse, if you guys have a hard time, there's still an underlying, we're not going anywhere. This is just a phase, this is a season, and we'll come out of it, and we'll come out of it stronger and better. That's what a calling is to me. It's there, it's part of my being.
Let's sit, just really sit with that for half a second of, right now is a great time to lean into what your calling is. I know I took this past weekend because I was spinning and trying to help everyone else. And I just went, wait, what do I want to do? I think we all have to, as business owners, go back. If you're a business owner or if you're just out of work right now, whatever, it's a great time to go back to, what did I want to do? And I had to hone in again this weekend is I want to tell people stories better and more effectively. And I want to teach them to do that. And I want to teach people to do local media. The rest of it, I will partner with someone on it but my calling is storytelling. Your calling is empowering people through understanding mind and body. So the next thing I want you, because I know you're online a lot and learning some things, what are you seeing is something that's going on online with our minds, with our bodies? Are your clients still calling you? Like, what's kind of a trend going on right now that you're seeing? And then what are you doing to help it?
So what I'm seeing is people, you have to be adaptable. It's nothing new and it's not rocket science, but you have to be willing. So obviously me not being able to touch my clients it's just not, I hate it. They hate it. But can I give you information? And honestly, I actually like it because it makes them have more ownership. So it takes me, the fixer, because a lot of people come to me to fix them, and I quickly explain to them I can't. I facilitate their healing. They have to choose it. But taking my hands-on out of the picture makes them take ownership of doing their homework, of correcting postural deficiencies. So it really, actually, I think it's really, really good to show them how much power they have. So I think that could correlate to many things, even like with your industry or, you know, other people that help me in my business. It's making me take ownership of, I'm never going to be good at technology, but I have to learn to a certain degree to participate. So it's in it.
Okay, so let's stop on that real quick, because one of the things I was talking with someone yesterday, I have to learn to participate, is what we're really doing in this day and age, what you're just talking about, what we're learning in COVID is what we can do online and how we can grow an online presence. Then when we're able to go back and touch people and do the things, we've got two different things in our arsenal now, right? And we're taking the time to learn the technology, and everyone has to take the time to learn the technology now. And I think, as frustrating as this time is, what a gift it is. I keep getting to show people how to use Zoom, and then I take a class and learn how to use Zoom. You were asking me about a microphone. I was like, oh, that's what I need, because you've been doing podcasts forever. I'm like, oh, I need to add that. Like, we're able to take, like, Sandra has an amazing podcast she's been doing forever, and she's got all the bells and whistles, and I'm like, oh, I need that too, right? Like, that's why you have this opportunity and you take advantage of it.
Well,
love that.
One of the reasons why that's so important is we operate in our daily life using 95% of our unconscious mind. Okay. So we go through life doing things from rote memory, and our body isn't doing it because it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. Everything that we do, like even in your business, your craft, what I do, it's a little different for me because it's a body that can present itself differently every day, but it's still a routine. So when something like this happens, this is what trauma, the benefit that we should walk away from trauma is that we're making new neural pathways because we have to learn something new. It's actually very healthy for us. Yeah. It's when we refuse it and we choose to block ourselves off into not participating that it's actually damaging for us mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Oh gosh. Y'all just think about.
So what you did, I was so proud of you because I'm serious. So what you've done with these little talks is you've done exactly the right protocol for this type situation, because the intuition would be just to close ourselves off, protect until we're ready to go. But what you did was you created something. So I've commented on your thing the other day. Creation is what it stimulates our brain. It stimulates our body towards growth, creating things. And we need reciprocal co-regulation with other human beings. That's how we regulate our body in the world, in space, in time. That's how we connect our brain to our body with others. Yes. So when I see you out and you smile at me, you say hi, you say nice things to me, your facial muscles are communicating with my brain's awareness that I am seen and heard and I am okay. Yeah. When we lose that reciprocal co-regulation with others, and that is part of what is a decline for people into depression. So you did two things right. You created something new out of a need, And then you're facilitating for yourself and others that ability to still see people, hear people, talk to people. And that's a huge deposit into their account of mental and emotional and physical wellness. So kudos to you.
Yay! I keep saying it's not pretty, but it's here, and one day it'll be pretty. But
that's what matters.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. And one thing, back when all of this started, I want you to talk about your business a little bit more in healthcare, because one of the things I noticed on you when all of this started, you kept talking about immunity, how you've already got the tools for it. I don't know what the right word is, so I don't want to cast judgment on anyone, but I was like, a lot of people are acting in fear when this is a terrible virus. I was talking to someone yesterday family members, all these things, but our bodies have the ability to fight it off. And I don't think enough of us talk about that oranges, kombucha, all the essential oils and all the different things that we have access to. And I loved that message. And I think that's a message as people are starting to like all of a sudden think about wave 2 and if there's going to be a new wave. How can we prepare our bodies? You, the licensed and the studier of all things, what are your top 3 ways to prepare our bodies?
Oh, top 3. That's so hard. Like I was supposed to do it.
Just give them all then. Girl, we here. Give them all. Where are we going? Nowhere.
Right. Well, so the first thing is you have to understand how the body works. Like I said in an interview last week, if I give you a computer and tell you can talk to people with it, and that's it, it won't do anything for you. You'll be very busy doing things, but you won't do anything. So if you don't understand how your body works, you can't utilize it well to make it work.
Yeah.
So you have to understand how the immune system, how the nervous system, how they all are regulated in the world. Mm-hmm. So everybody's heard fight and flight. We understand that concept. And we've all heard rest and digest. Or probably have heard that. Or we need to sleep. Or we need to eat healthier. We need whatever.
Yeah.
So we understand the concepts, but we have to understand that one system takes control, the other system cannot be working. So if I'm in fight or flight, my rest and digest is not working well. That means I'm not healing. I can't do the things that I need to do to get well. Mm-hmm. And the only way to regulate that down out of that fight or flight is to, again, put deposits into that part of the body and the mind to where you can't make this thing disappear. You can't take yourself out of the stressor. You have to manage the stressor better. How do you do that? So once you increase your awareness to know that if I stay up at a 10 with my emotions and my energy level and my irritation and my anger, and I'm just up here at 10 all the time, I can't get into that healing phase. I can't get into that phase of the body where it can kill off anything, because we harbor in our bodies at all times bacteria, viruses, parasites, all the time. If you took blood from every human being on the planet Earth, we have all those things in us at all times. Yeah. Varying degrees, different kinds, but our immune system is designed to fight them off. So when we are trying to help that happen, it's just like a savings account. You can talk about wanting to save for retirement every minute of every day, and you can go to work and make money. But if you don't put money in the account so it can accrue interest, you won't have anything when you get retired.
That's good. Y'all better listen to that. Yes.
You have to allocate your life. You can talk about wanting to be healthy. You can talk about wanting to be strong. You can talk about wanting to be able to handle trauma and stress. But what are you, again, that's why this is kind of good for us, because it's putting the ownership on us. People can't go out to their chiropractor right now. People can't go out to their massage therapist right now. They can't rely on that external means of regulation, which is what a lot of people rely on. We have to look at ourselves. So how do you do that? So the brain is told by the 5 senses if I'm okay in space or if I need to run away from a tiger.
Yeah.
So our 5 senses are constantly feeding us information of whether or not I need to be in fight or flight, or if everything's cool, I can be in rest and digest. So that comes to our ownership of monitoring what is going into our senses and what's coming out of our expression. So we have to start monitoring our
Yes.
our content and our banter, and how much we are adding to that stockpile of the irritants that bring us into fight or flight. So how much we're watching the news, how much we're engaging on social media, how much we're talking and arguing about this thing that we know is not going to change anyone's mind on whatever side of whatever decision you may be on.
Yeah.
And our children, we're right now imprinting on our kids how their nervous system is going to respond to trauma and stressors. So they're watching us, like it's from up to age 7 is the time that our kids learn how to behave. And that's the generational curse you might hear about. It's not a curse. It's that's just how they learn how to be. Because when you have a baby, if something weird is going on or some stranger walks in the room, what is the first thing they do?
Look for mom and dad.
They look at you. They look at you and talking about. That's the facial muscle recognition. They look at you, and if you're like, they go. If you're like, very good, very nice, and you smile and your voice tone goes up, and they're like, okay, we're cool. So that's another thing we have to take ownership of, is regulating our body and learning how to manage our tone of voice and our fight and our fear and our bitterness and anger, how to regulate that ourselves. We're teaching that to our children. So that's a huge motivator for me. It has always been. I have a 19 and 16-year-old. So that's been a huge, like in '08. In '08, I was very conscious of being truthful with them. They were younger, so they didn't really understand everything. But if we hide, if we don't say our truth, that is adding into dysfunction of all the systems. So being honest, being truthful, but managing that, those senses, things that are contributing to those senses that will keep us up high. So the nervous system, the immune system, what happens when you go into fight or flight, what literally happens in the body is that the brain senses, and I'll compare everything to a tiger. Tiger's chasing you. Change that into the metaphor for anything else, a bad relationship, finances, whatever your tiger is.
Yes.
So your body thinks a tiger is chasing you. Your brain senses it by giving it's something you saw, something you heard, something you smelled. This goes into trauma, a reminder of a smell. Any of those things triggers your brain into, holy crap, we need to flee. So it takes all the blood out of the viscera, out of the stomach where the organs are, where everything's supposed to be growing and moving and doing, and sends it all out to the arms and the hands and the legs. So we have more energy to run and get away and flee. So if that blood is sent out there, that means we are now deficient in those vital organs. So our ability to grow in our organs and be healthy in our organs, which we all know we've been educated now, that's the second brain that helps regulate emotions and all those things, is now deficient in nutrients and oxygen and blood. So that's the physical aspect of what happens when you get into that fight or flight. So if I know I have control over information and technology to not deposit into that account of my reaction to go into fight or flight, I need to control that. So spending more time in situations where you get into the rest and digest. How do we do that? It's things like this. It's making conscious effort to communicate with people, to show love, to feel love, spending conscious time in movement. So all of the things of meditation and yoga, they all have a truth to them, because we have to stop and we have to breathe. Yeah. When we are in fight or flight, we're not breathing correctly. That changes the dynamic of our gut processes as well. Yeah. So it's not rocket science. It's what we've known for generations. It's biblical principles. It's principles from other practices and religious philosophies. There's an undercurrent of truth in all of them, is that we have to regulate ourselves to be able to walk through these stressors time, because you can see other people that are. You see some people that are, and this is one thing I'm concerned about, is women are more prone to becoming agoraphobic. That's when you are afraid to leave your house. Like serious diagnosis, like a syndrome. Like you literally are afraid to leave your home, and usually it's because something happened while you were out, heart palpitations, something happened that makes you get embarrassed or scared, and you begin to retreat from society, and you are afraid to literally leave your house. Well, now we're being made to stay in our house. People already have emotional and psychological issues they're dealing with. This is going to exacerbate a lot of that. So we have to make our mind-body connection a priority. And I always say, however that looks for you. And we have to really at this time be negotiating with ourselves and our spouses to work together on this, because we're all doing something we don't know how to do. It's new for all of us. The roles right now, like the mom doing everything and the husband just working, that doesn't work right now. We have to be partnering together to help each other. When we're having a bad day, you're having a good day, you do more. When I'm having a good day and you're having a bad day, I do more. Especially in that situation, and especially with kids, we need to negotiate who's doing what, when, and where to help each other facilitate that. Sleeping, I cannot talk about enough. Sleeping has to be a priority. You can't just say, I just don't sleep good. That's not acceptable, because if you don't sleep, you absolutely cannot heal. Your immune system, your nervous system absolutely cannot function as it should. So just like babies, just like we sleep train babies, we have to sleep train ourselves. And it all comes back to ownership of our own habits and behaviors. You're going to have to become okay with leaving your phone in the kitchen, turning off the screen time at night 2 hours before bed, and start a downward gradual decline of your nervous system. So if you're up here because of the day's events, and down here is where you fall asleep, can you jump off a ladder on the 10th rung and think you're going to be okay? And that's why you don't go to sleep for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours, not till 6 in the morning. And then you really don't sleep at that point. You just shut your eyes for a little bit. So we have to, if you don't, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time. And it's just, we accept that as normal. And it's not normal. It's habitual, but that's not okay for the body. So at night, start implementing a process. One great way is to 2 hours before bed, stop eating, dim the lights in the house, because that's telling your eyes there's less sun available. So I might need to start calming down. Start a playlist. I just had a 2 podcasts ago with a music therapist. She had a wonderful idea. At night, start a playlist. The first 3 songs, a little bit higher of a beat, higher of tone, a little more noise. The next 3 songs, a little bit lower of a beat, a little bit smoother tone. The next 3 songs. So you're giving auditory stimulation to your brain. First, I'm up here and I'm like, woo, whatever. And then you're coming down. And that's cool, because that's the vibration you're on at that point. So at 6, 7 o'clock, you're like, everything's going on with the kids and your body's like, So if you put on soothing music, it'll almost be an irritant to you, because your internal energy is exactly. So have a playlist of 3 songs that are super high energy. The next 3 down are lower. So you get down to those last 2 while you're last stages of getting ready for bed. They're very smooth, very low tone, very flowing. And then do a bedtime routine. So that may be a hot bath. That may be 5 minutes of meditation. Pick your meditation. People get so itchy about meditation. I'm a Christian too. It doesn't have to be anything. There are Christian meditation platforms. Because meditation, why it works is because you're doing the mind-body connection. This is a problem with people, and why this situation is bad for some. I see it in body work every day. So I do craniosacral therapy, and it's a very different form of hands-on therapy. Very slow, very calm, very specific holds around the cranium and the head. It's the overall body philosophy, but very specific things around the head. When someone is not ready to be introspective or to be in their body, because we're so good at disassociating with ourselves and with our pain and with our story, we disassociate, we handle everybody else's stuff. When you're like, don't look at me. When I do craniosacral with some people, and I'm doing regular neck massage and head massage, and I stop and I stay, and we call it holding space with people, and I put a certain pressure on a certain point around their cranium. Some people their body literally becomes agitated. They'll start to move and wiggle. They'll start to sweat. They'll start to breathe heavier because they are not ready to be introspective. They are not ready to look at themselves on a deeper level and have a self check-in with what's going on. So that's a lot of people's issues with this whole quarantine, is they're being forced to sit with themselves.
Yeah.
Do a deep dive on, how am I feeling about life itself? How am I feeling about my relationship with these people in my house I'm stuck with right now? So they're coming face to face with their reality and having to take accountability. So going back to managing the nervous system and how we handle that is, it's constantly we know we need to eat healthy. It's none of this is rocket science. I'm not going to tell you anything you haven't heard before. It's doing it. It's just doing it. And I'm not a big diet person. I'm not a big, I implement some things myself. I do intermittent fasting because it works for me. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it.
Yeah.
But now is not the time to try a new diet or try a new, especially anything that's a self, putting yourself on a strict, rigid thing, taking something away from yourself. Now is the time to do the small things really, really good.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Say that again. Now is the time to do the small things.
Now is the time to do the small things really, really well.
Yeah.
How much water are you drinking every day?
Yeah.
Put it on your phone. Are you getting enough protein every day? Are you eating enough? Because especially if you're in the house with kids and things are crazy and you'll get up in the morning, they'll throw a toy at you and hit you in the head, and before you know it, it's bedtime.
I know.
So if we're trying to regulate our body and help it be in the capacity where it can do its job, which is to help us heal, we have to give it what it needs. Are you drinking enough water every day? Are you eating enough every day? You can document these things. You can manage these things. You can write them down. But that is where we thrive. So we can't, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I have that posted on my site if you want to look at it, but it's a triangle of human need and desire. But the bottom rung, the bottom part of that triangle is basic biological needs. The top little triangle is moral philosophy and creativity and desire and all that kind of stuff. You can't get to that top rung of that triangle if your basic biological needs aren't met. You can't regulate your body if it doesn't have the fuel that it needs. So we have to go back to the basics, just like in sports. I use my husband as an example. He was a basketball coach. He's like, these guys that want to make behind the back passes are ruining everything, and they're the best players, but they're not doing the fundamentals well.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to get back to the fundamentals, and it's not rocket science. There's no magic pill. There's obviously things that we are learning and hearing that work well and help our body. So supplementation is key. And it's going back to the basic ones that we already know: vitamin C, vitamin D, fish oils, all those things. So do your supplements, make sure they're high quality, because supplements carry their own issue of not being the end product of what the test was ran on, and they're made cheaper, and the actual coating of the pill doesn't have to be tested as the stuff in the beginning. The coating of the pills can have some toxins in them. So make sure you're buying from a reputable source. But supplement with all the ones that you've known about this whole time. Get your sleep, make it a priority. Yeah. Control what is coming into your senses, your eye gate, your ear gate, and how you speak. Mm-hmm. How you speak tells your body how I'm supposed to behave right now. If I'm speaking anger and fear and bitterness and doubt, your body's saying, oh, protect, 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 shut off, close out. Yeah. So what you're speaking is what your body becomes. It's a biblical principle. It's a religious philosophy for many other people. It's as a man thinking in his heart, so is he. Yeah. But if you think my body's going to fail me,
it will.
It will. If you think, no matter, just like this relationship thing, just like the finances thing, it's really that calling to be who you are, which is a body that can heal itself. So if I have that underlying calling to know I was created with a nervous system and an immune system to be healthy, to be able to fight these things, then I need to give it what it needs to do its job and not beat it down with things that I know hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the hard part of this is when people have, for whatever reason, have spent their past, and this is what I see in my practice. So someone will come to me and they're in their late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s. They have not made their body a priority for 30 years. They've had the mentality, I'm going to take care of my kids are my priority, they mean everything to me, I give them everything, and they have literally not made their body a priority for 20, 30 years. And they're coming to me expecting me to fix their hip pain in 2 or 3 sessions. So this is where it really gets difficult, because if you have had a dysfunctional system for a long time, that's where we're seeing a lot of this be an issue. And so we have to, again, it's self-evaluation. I hope, my prayer for this is that people will come out of this situation making their health a priority.
Yeah.
You know, we have to look at it. What can I learn from this? It's going to hurt everyone in some capacity. If you don't walk away from it, at least learning something to change your existence in the world, then you've lost the reason that tragic things happen.
Yeah.
So if your health hasn't been a priority, if you're overweight, if you have diagnoses, in my opinion of diagnosis are not popular, to me it's just an observation. A diagnosis is simply an observation that helps you know which way you need to go kind of on your path into searching for health. Because a diagnosis is not a life sentence. There's a great book, I should have brought it in here, The Brain That Heals Itself. It's miraculous stories of recovery, but it's really just the body and the brain getting what it needs. I mean, crazy things from people having a dissociative issue with their brain and movement and their association with gravity and space, and they walk really wobbly, and it was all from an accident. And they started doing this crazy therapy with nerves of the tongue, and she regains her balance. It's just crazy. I mean, there is an answer out there. I know, it's crazy.
Our bodies are just the coolest.
It's amazing to me. And so this is the type of stuff I flood my brain and mind with.
Yeah.
When you're shown so many stories, so many amazing facts and history of people that have recovered from so many things, that's what I keep saying. I'm just stockpiling those stories in my mental bank of how powerful and how capable the brain and the body are. There was another, I love this story, but there was a man that had a horrific stroke. My dad had a stroke last year, so I've been through this with him.
Yeah.
A man had a horrific stroke, was paralyzed, couldn't move anything without assistance. And the medical facility was just, there is no hope. His stroke was so severe, the damage is so severe, he will never walk again. Well, lucky for him, his son was, I think, an osteopath or a physiotherapist or something like that. And they were like, we hear what you're saying, but, we don't have anything to lose. Yeah. So they started him out on the floor. Actually, they started him out leaned up against a wall on all fours.
Okay.
And just started rocking back and forth, just like a baby.
Yeah.
They started rocking him back and forth, and they had him get on all fours by himself. Long story short, had him out crawling outside. Neighbors thought they were crazy. They were saying, how could you demean this man? He was a famous college professor, I believe.
Yeah.
What ended up happening is they went through this whole process, and he ended up recovering, was rock climbing, going on adventures again, died of old age. In his autopsy, they looked at his brain, and they said, we still cannot understand how he was even able to walk. The damage was so severe. But what happened was his damage was so severe in one part, but when you do something new, when you do something hard and you overcome it and you become successful at it, you form new neural pathways in the brain. So no matter the damage that was done on that side where the stroke was, because he started learning and his vestibular system started seeing, I can do this, and then tomorrow I did a little bit more, he ended up walking again. So we have to have, I know, that's why I'm so like, this is like better than drugs for me. I get so I get high on stuff. But that's why we have to go back to how powerful our brain is. And we lose that power when we entrench ourselves in despair and fear and anger. All of those things are damaging to our internal organs. It literally, like liver is associated with anger. Different organs have a different association. Pelvic floor issues, women with pelvic floor issues, usually fear, usually sexual trauma. There's a part of the body that's associated with everything. So again, it's not rocket science. Our relationships right now should be very, very much a focus of our attention. Our friendships, our relationship with our spouses, our relationship with our children, because love is one of the primary things that tells the body that it's safe and okay. The more we can be in those spaces and the more we can light a fire under those things, the better our bodies will be. The more time we spend in participating in anger and fear and that type of dialogue, have the visualization that you're going to that money bank of love and safety and security and growth and health and immune wellness, and take a chunk out and go put it into disease, because that's exactly what you're doing. I'll repeat it again. You cannot be in fight or flight and rest and digest at the same time. It doesn't work. So however that looks for you, if that's doing a Zumba class for you, if that's doing a YouTube video of a yoga class for you, if that is becoming a great cook, which I will never be, you know, if it's picking up a new project, like your little group here. I have other people in Mint Hill. There's a Mint Hill coffee group of business owners. They're doing a little thing every Tuesday. Create something new, be involved in something new. Just figure out every single communication that you have availability to have control over of all those 5 senses, to communicate to your body that it is okay. Because when you do that, then you can get into rest and digest. Then you can be a person that when something comes into them, and this is how I explain health. True health is not the absence of sickness or disease. That's not what health is. Because that's almost like a net zero. It's like, it's not anything. It's just like a, norm. True health is when your body comes into contact with sickness, disease, trauma. The time frame that you spend in that situation is less, and the exacerbation of symptoms is less. That's what true health is. So that means you have to be preventative maintenance minded. People say, why do you work out so much? You're already fit. I work out so much because I've had 3 surgeries for ovarian cyst, a borderline cancerous tumor that was supposed to make me not able to have my second child. I very well could have cancer in the future. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to keep my body as healthy as it can possibly be, so that if I have to have a hysterectomy in another couple years, I'll recover quicker. I'm not going to wait until I have the hysterectomy and then start eating healthy. And that's the problem with our mindset, is we're working the equation backwards. And especially to my mamas, and the men as well, but my mamas, before I had my first child, an older friend of mine got a hold of me and said, Sandra, if you want to be that happy mom, that happy wife, that happy friend, if you want to be that thing we imagined our whole life we wanted, you have to make yourself a priority. And I'm the kind of person, when someone tells me something and I believe it to be fact and I can see it playing out into their life to be real, I'm sold. So I listen to her, and I think that's what has made my path different than some people. And I have a supportive spouse. There's many things that go into my story, and that's why I don't like to say my story a whole lot, because everybody's story is different. But the fact is, our bodies are all the same. No matter what your history is, our bodies all require the same thing. So it's going back to the basics, doing the good things really, really, really well, harnessing friendships, harnessing love, and removing the negative impact onto your body and mind.
Whew. This was good. How can everyone get in touch with you? Because I feel like people are going to have more questions, or they're like, right now I'm like,
so I have several things on YouTube. So my YouTube channel is The Relentless on YouTube, and then I have my podcast. But I have several things on YouTube about, so one of the things I want to just mention too is don't feel bad about feeling scared. Don't feel bad about being angry. That is part of the problem, and what will channel disease is if you suppress those things.
Yeah.
Feeling an emotion is not a bad thing. Feeling scared, feeling angry, that is good. The Bible says, be angry and sin not. So it's, again, all of this is philosophy from thousands of years ago.
Right. We're just living it out.
You have to figure out how to do it properly.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big reasons asthma comes about, and I would love to take a poll on this, who had childhood asthma that had an oppressive parent, had an emotionally abusive parent, where you had to learn to shut your mouth so you wouldn't get in trouble. When you stop speaking your truth, when you stop defending yourself, when you tell your body, I know I'm in a not safe place, but I'm going to stay here anyway, and I'm going to not say anything about it, then you start breathing incorrectly. And that's where a lot of asthma comes from.
Yeah.
So we have to learn that there's nothing wrong with feeling any emotion. Yeah. You have to learn how to get it worked out. So like anger, you have to know how to properly communicate that anger to the right person and find resolution or find negotiation to a resolution and get it out of your body. So if that's running for you, if that's hitting heavy bags for you, if that's writing down on a paper everything you feel, because our brain is so tricky. Sometimes it'll imagine a situation worse than it is. Yeah. So in Buddhist practices, there's a lot of people that have people write down what they're feeling, write down that story, write down how they felt about everything, and then come back to it the next day. Number one, you'll look back and see, I don't think it was that bad. I must not have eaten. Somebody yelled at me, and I'm really feeling lonely. And that's what that was. But I needed to feel that at that moment. And now I've written it down. I've taken it from an intangible thought that maybe have been worse than what it was. And I've had to use my body to translate that feeling into a tangible, into a tangible thing. I had to write it down to have a tangible thing that's my anger now. And then go and burn it. But then you take that tangible thing and burn it, and that is a visual cue that you've taken that thought, turned it into something physical, and then you've released it. So, and there's thousands of mechanisms to do this. That's a simple example. Yeah. But I wanted to make sure I got that in. There's nothing wrong with feeling lonely, afraid, scared, angry. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's what you do with it that will contribute to your wellness or contribute to dis-ease.
Yeah.
But communicating with me, I'm on Facebook, I'm on everything, Instagram, the Sandra Weber. So, and fun thing about this is last year, so I've been doing this for over 10 years and learning and growing and doing different things. And I started having people come to me, and if I'm out in public and I start talking to people, this is what I talk about. So I just love it. That's what I'm talking about, that calling. So I had people start coming to me and say, and I would start talking about the body and how they could do decompressions for their neck or their shoulders. And they're like, I don't want body work. Can you just tell me all the other stuff and teach me that? I was like, oh, that's coaching. Okay. Yeah. So I started a year ago, and again, technology is not my forte. Sitting like this drives me batty. I could never work at a computer. I'm a mover and a shaker. Yeah. So last year, I'm like my normal routine. I'm up at 5 o'clock every day. I either have my first client at 7 a.m. or I do 5:30 burn boot camp. Okay. And I usually go to bed around. I try to go to bed around 10. Sometimes it doesn't work, but 10 or 11. So I'm booked all day long with work, and then I have 2 kid athletes. One's in college, one's in high school. So I'm either at the gym or in a gym. So I am full all day, every day. So last year, when I started getting this feeling and this impression from people to start coaching and start teaching, because I've done it in some capacity my whole life, I started working with Cassandra Shuck, who you had on.
Yeah.
We're coming full circle. Yeah. So I said, Cassandra, I need a separate website, a separate business for coaching and teaching separated from my body work. Yeah. So I started this whole process a year ago, knowing it was going to take me forever because I just don't have time to work on it. And I just got my new website live like a couple months ago.
Okay.
I've already taught a couple classes. Like I teach group classes on all this stuff and go into more anatomy, like how to deal with sitting at your desk every day.
Yeah.
But I love telling that story because it's our circle here in Charlotte of people facilitating what I needed. And then I did your class on marketing and how to get, self out there. So what my point of that is, I was too busy to be doing that a year ago. My schedule was too busy, but that calling you're talking about, giving into the need that I saw that was coming to me and how I could facilitate helping more people, I just started chunking away at doing a little bit here and there when I could. And now this has happened and I already have all the systems in place. My new website is live. I have everything ready to be able to facilitate distance remote sessions. Yeah. And it's all because I listened to that little thing on the inside and listen to the people around me. So like with you and other, business owners, people tell you what they need. Yeah. When they come into my office and they're hurting, the reason I'm so different is I'll sit down with them and I'll sit kind of close to them, because when you get in their space, it takes all the walls down.
It does.
So I'll never sit close and I'll just lean in and I'll look in their eyes and I'll just say, what do you think is contributing to your pain? And usually they start crying, and the first thing they say, and I'm like, okay, that's why your shoulder won't get better, because your relationship is suffering right now with your partner. And so people don't make those connections. And that's why a lot of people go through years of care with other practitioners and never get better, because their shoulder can't heal, because their body's staying in fight or flight. They're not getting the nutrients to their body they need. You actually become attached sometimes to pain to disassociate with relationships.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah, I could keep talking about this for hours.
We got it. Y'all go get in touch with her. I'll put it on. She'll pop it on. It'll be on YouTube later. So helpful. And
let me remind everybody, there is so much more associated with your chronic pain.
Yes.
Than you are realizing. So I'll just leave you with this. If you're suffering from something like, I have a chronic SI joint issue, or I have a chronic neck issue, or yes, there's a physical thing. So I say all the time, people come to me because of physical expressions of mental and emotional distress. So yes, it plays out physically. That's what I'm there for, is to help in that physical capacity. But if you're having a chronic issue and there wasn't a fall or there wasn't an injury, also sit down and think, let me take stock of the other things in my life. How is my marriage? How are my finances? How are my relationships with immediate parts of my family, parents, all that? Because if those things are in disarray, your body is told constantly, something's not right, something's not right, something's not right. And it's constantly got that undertone of fight or flight that may be preventing you from healing. Yeah. So you have to look at your body as a whole to get where you want to be health-wise.
That's right, y'all. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This was so good. Y'all get in touch with her.